The film opens with a beautiful woman named Sujin sitting at a train station. She looks confused, constantly checking her watch. She's holding two train tickets, seemingly waiting for someone, but even after the train passes, no one arrives. Sujin holds back tears and leaves with her bag. She walks to a public phone booth, perhaps to call the person she was waiting for. She starts crying again, crumbling the tickets in her hand. Sujin leaves the wrinkled tickets behind and firmly walks away from the station. It seems someone has broken Sujin's heart. She goes to a convenience store to buy a canned drink. After paying, Sujin leaves without noticing her wallet and drink are still on the counter. She only realizes her mistake when she gets thirsty and wants to take a sip. Frustrated, she has no choice but to go back to the convenience store. As she's about to enter, Sujin passes a man named Cholsu. She immediately gets annoyed, thinking he's taken her drink, especially after glancing inside and seeing her drink is no longer on the counter. Cholsu, who feels no conflict with her, simply looks at her for a moment while opening his drink. Sujin misunderstands and vents her frustration at him. She snatches the drink and gulps it down roughly, then leaves without another word after giving the empty can back. Cholsu can only manage a bitter smile looking at her behavior. He tries to drink from the can, but it's empty. He crushes the can and throws it into the trash. Sujin realizes her mistake when she wants to pay her bus fare and can't find her wallet in her bag. She has to return to the convenience store, where the clerk smiles as he gives her back her wallet and drink. Sujin feels guilty but can't do anything because Cholsu has already left. She decides to go back to her parents' house. Her mother welcomes her warmly and tells her to rest, while her younger brother warns her that her father will probably be mad. In reality, her father remains silent when they all have breakfast together the next morning. No one dares to speak, afraid he will be angry. Sujin arrives at her office, and everyone is buzzing about her. Her superior seems to doubt that Sujin can handle working in the menswear division, but she assures him that she's capable. A woman named Anna Jong appears and introduces herself politely, but she's actually trying to make a dig at Sujin's reputation as a homewrecker. It turns out that Sujin was planning to run away with her boyfriend, Youngmin, who was already married. However, Youngmin didn't show up at the train station yesterday. He chose to go back to his wife. Days pass, and Sujin is now on good terms with her father. One day, Sujin joins her father to visit a project site. She apologizes for causing so much trouble, but her father is happy that she's realizing her mistakes. He advises her to forget the past and start over. Sujin declines to follow her father to the project site, choosing to wait in the car instead, saying it's too dusty. Her father finds two of his employees arguing, and one of them is Cholsu. When Cholsu goes out for a break, Sojin sees him and immediately remembers their encounter in front of the convenience store. At Sojin's office, her boss's friend, who was supposed to renovate the room, has run away with the down payment. Feeling sorry for her boss, she promises to help him finish the renovation. She then calls her father to ask for help with the office problem. Her father is happy to help and warns her daughter that the person he's sending is very stubborn and rude. Long story short, the time comes for them to meet the person. When the elevator door opens, Sojin is shocked to see that it's Cholsu. Cholsu's also surprised. Sojin feels embarrassed, remembering what happened that one time. She watches Cholsu from a distance as he buys a canned drink. Suddenly, Cholsu appears. He gets back at Sojin for what she did to him, taking her drink and finishing it. After work, Sojin laughs as she remembers the incident. Cholsu comes up behind her and greets her. Sojin gets nervous facing Cholsu. Cholsu heads straight for his car. Suddenly, a pocket pick snatches Sojin's bag as she's waiting for a taxi. Calmly, Cholsu stops him by opening his car door. The pocket pick falls off his motorcycle and runs away. Cholsu intends to drive Sojin home, and she reluctantly accepts, even though she has to sit crammed with his project tools. On top of that, the front windshield is also cracked from the incident. Throughout the journey, Cholsu entertains Sojin, and she finally enjoys her unique ride. The next day, Sojin, who seems to be developing feelings for Cholsu, prepares lunch for him. Unfortunately, she's disappointed because Cholsu has already hired another worker to continue the renovation at her office. Not wanting to give up, Sojin goes to Cholsu's workplace, but when she sees him, she immediately hides. It gets dark, and Sojin invites her friends to Cholsu's hangout spot to join them. Without them knowing, under the table, Cholsu and Sojin are holding hands. That night, they officially start dating. Since then, they always spend time together. together. At Cholsu's house, she sees many design blueprints he's been working on. It turns out that Cholsu has been preparing to take the architect exam. Sojin asks her friends to help make a suit for her boyfriend. They are surprised to see Sojin so infatuated with her father's rude subordinate. The day of the exam arrives. Cholsu wears the suit from Sojin. He asks her not to wait for him, but Sojin waits anyway. Her father sees the change in his daughter, who's always daydreaming. He realizes Sojin is in love. He asks who the young man is. Sojin is shocked and dares not to reveal Cholsu's identity. She's afraid her father will get angry and not approve of their relationship. Sojin only says that her boyfriend is an architect. Naturally, her father looks excited and can't wait to meet the young man. But Cholsu refuses to meet Sojin's father, feeling that he's not worthy of being his boss's son-in-law. Every day, Sojin keeps persuading Cholsu to meet her father, but Cholsu still refuses. During dinner, Sojin tries to talk about marriage again. Cholsu says he doesn't want to get married and make a commitment. Suddenly, Sojin's family arrives. They're very surprised. It turns out that Sojin deliberately invited her family without Cholsu's knowledge. Just as Sojin expected, her father doesn't approve of their relationship. When Sojin excuses herself to the restroom, her father tells Cholsu to leave. Sojin, who hasn't returned from the restroom, faints outside the restaurant. Cholsu, worried about her, immediately carries her to the hospital. Her father's heart begins to melt as he sees this. The doctor says Sojin fainted from lack of blood due to too much stress. Sojin, now conscious, hugs Cholsu tightly. Her father finally approves of her daughter's happiness. In short, Cholsu and Sojin get married and live happily. Cholsu also successfully obtains his architect license. One day, a fire nearly breaks out in their house. Sojin was taking a shower and forgot she was cooking. But Cholsu isn't angry. Instead, he teases his wife. Even though he never says "I love you" to Sojin, he shows his love through his actions. Day by day, they live with laughter. The couple's married life and careers go well. As time passes, Sojin begins to forget what she's doing. She even forgets her way back home. She tells her friends about it, but they just laugh and think she's joking. They don't realize that Sojin looks very worried. She tries hard to remember the way home. As she climbs the stairs, she's a little hesitant, looking around. After entering, she feels relieved. But suddenly, she feels a sense of unfamiliarity when she looks at her kitchen. Cholsu appears and asks about the changes to the kitchen. Sojin is completely relieved because it really is her home. She feels very grateful to have Cholsu.
The next day, Sojin decides to get a checkup with the doctor. After the consultation, the doctor asks her to come back next week. Cholsu now has his own office. All his friends are happy to see Cholsu's career progressing. At the same time, Cholsu's mother comes to borrow money to pay off her debts. But Cholsu refuses because since he was a child, he hated his mother who always beat and abused him. However, over time, Sojin manages to mend the relationship between her mother-in-law and her husband. The next day, exactly 2 weeks later, Sojin returns to see the doctor. But in reality, she came a week ago. Sojin can't answer some of the doctor's questions, like what day it is, her date of birth, and her younger brother's age. She undergoes another CT scan. The doctor asks her to return again next week. When she returns to the office, Sojin is surprised to find that her ex-boyfriend, Youngmin, is her new boss. She feels uncomfortable but tries to be professional. Her ex-boyfriend explains why he didn't show up at the station, but Sojin immediately cuts him off and leaves. At home, Sojin seems excited, making a scrapbook about her husband Cholsu. Suddenly, she stands up and goes to the kitchen as if to prepare food for Cholsu. He feels that something is wrong with his wife's behavior. Sojin then opens the door as if she's waiting for someone. When she turns around, she's surprised to see her husband sitting on the sofa. She continues with her scrapbook and asks if Cholsu was the one who put glue on her papers. He says no, looking at his wife's face. Cholsu keeps asking about her doctor's appointment. Sojin says she'll go back next week. Cholsu begins to worry seeing his wife's dazed condition. A week later, Sojin goes back to the doctor. The doctor says Sojin is suffering from Alzheimer's disease. Sojin is shocked to hear it. She never expected that at only 27 she would become forgetful. The doctor suggests that she should stop working immediately. Sojin cries uncontrollably, imagining all her memories slowly disappearing.
친구가 누구지? 다 지워지게 된 거.
That night, Sojin tells her husband that she will quit her job to be a good housewife. She intentionally keeps her illness a secret from her husband. Of course, Cholsu was happy to hear it, even though he's curious about why Sojin made this decision so suddenly. On her first day not working, Sojin prepares a lunchbox for her husband. Chol-soo looks very happy and can't wait to taste his wife's cooking. His friends tease Chol-soo when they see him bringing a lunchbox because it's his first time. Everyone is curious and want to see what's inside. But they're all shocked to see Chol-soo's lunchbox only contains white rice without any side dishes. At home, Sojin gets a call from her ex-boyfriend because she quit so suddenly. Youngmin asks her to come to the office to talk. Initially, Sojin refuses, but because Youngmin insists, she agrees. On her way, she suddenly feels dizzy, seeing many people around her. She takes out her phone, but forgets how to use it. She starts to feel weak and sits down to endure the pain. An officer finds her and takes her to a safe place. By chance, Youngmin sees her from the front. Sojin immediately holds Youngmin's hand. He's surprised to see the change in Sojin's behavior. Youngmin wants their romantic relationship to go back to 2 years ago. Sojin is surprised and says, 2 years ago? We hadn't even met each other yet. Suddenly, Sojin stands up. Her memory returns. She immediately hails a taxi and leaves Youngmin. The scene shifts to Chol-soo, who's already in the doctor's office, and he finds out about his wife's illness. He's shocked to hear it. He says the doctor must have misdiagnosed her. The doctor gets upset and asks Chol-soo to take his wife to another place to be checked. Chol-soo can't control his emotions and attacks the doctor until a nurse comes and stops him, saying that the doctor's wife died from the same disease. The doctor has dedicated the rest of his life to researching the illness. Chol-soo is stunned and can't say a word. The doctor tells him about his experience with his wife before she passed away. He immediately calls his wife, but a man answers and says he found the phone on the street. Chol-soo immediately goes to look for her. Even though he mistakenly finds the wrong person several times, he doesn't give up until he finally finds Sojin at his old training ground. Sojin realizes her husband has found out about her illness. She asks Chol-soo to end the relationship. Chol-soo tries to give his wife hope, even though Sojin knows there's no hope left for her. Chelsea says he will always be Sojin's memory. Both of them can't hold their tears.
The next day, their house is covered in labels for everything. Chol-soo does it to help Sojin's memory. He also makes an ID card for Sojin so she won't cause trouble for others if she gets lost for a moment. Before leaving for work, Sojin reminds her husband to come early because she has invited their family to celebrate Chol-soo's mother's birthday. Not long after, Youngmin comes to return Sojin's things that she left at the office, but he's confused when Sojin greets him with a smile and asks him to take a shower. Sojin's memory has returned to 2 years ago when they were still dating. Youngmin tries to make Sojin realize the truth, but suddenly Chol-soo appears. Sojin immediately asks Youngmin for protection. Chol-soo, fueled by jealousy, immediately beats up Youngmin without giving him a chance to explain. In Sojin's eyes, she sees Chol-soo as the one who's getting beaten up. She faints right as all their family arrives. Chol-soo then tells everyone what's happening to Sojin. All the family, including Youngmin, are very surprised to hear it. Sojin's father intends to take her back home, but Chol-soo refuses. He says he will take care of his wife himself. Everyone's attention turns to Sojin, who just came out of the room and peed in her pants. Chol-soo immediately takes his wife back to the room and cleans her up, holding back his tears. Chol-soo does everything so his wife will always remember him. When he's about to leave for work, she stops him and says, "Youngmin, I love you." Chol-soo turns around and smiles back. After he leaves the house, he can't hold back his tears, feeling immense pain when the wife he loves looks into his eyes but calls him by another man's name. He pours out his sadness to the doctor. He's confused who the man his wife truly loves. The doctor says her memory is trapped in the past. If he truly loves Sojin, then he must be patient. Meanwhile, his wife is busy reading all the memos around her. Her memory suddenly returns. She immediately cries because she remembers calling her husband by the wrong name. Before her memory disappears again, she decides to leave, leaving only a letter. Chol-soo, who just came home, is shocked to find that his wife has left. He cries uncontrollably while reading Sojin's letter. In the letter, she apologizes for hurting his feelings. "I, Sojin, only love Chol-soo. I don't want to forget that. I only want to remember and think of you. How much I wished I could show you my heart. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. How grateful I am to have you. I don't have to remember you because you are a part of me. I don't want to see you cry and suffer anymore. For that, I have to leave you. Forgive me for leaving you." Sojin also asked her father to prepare the divorce papers. Jeol-soo immediately tears them up. He insisted he will never divorce Sojin. Her father has tried to persuade him, but in the end, he gives up on his son-in-law's determination. Since then, Jeol-soo never works properly. He's always daydreaming. He feels very lonely. He intends to look for his wife. When he checks the mailbox, he's surprised to find a letter from Sojin. It turns out that Sojin wrote the letter when her memory came back. Without thinking twice, Jeol-soo immediately heads to the town where the letter came from. He visits several hospitals but isn't successful until he finally finds Sojin at the last hospital in that town. He intentionally wears a scent that Sojin likes, hoping she can remember him. A nurse takes him to Sojin's room, but Sojin doesn't recognize him. When it's time for lunch, suddenly Sojin smells the scent that Jeol-soo is wearing. Sojin tries to remember him, but she can't. Seeing that, Jeol-soo becomes even sadder. When Sojin asks him why he is crying, he tries to cover it up with his glasses. Even the nurse feels sad. Long story short, Jeol-soo wants to help Sojin's memory by recreating their story at the convenience store. The doctor plays the role of the store clerk, Jeol-soo's father as the cleaner, and all of her family is there. Sojin's memory returns. She's very touched to see all her family and her doctor in that place. Jeol-soo immediately takes her away. On their way, for the first time in his life, Jeol-soo says, "I love you."
사랑해.
Sojin immediately hugs him, and that's the end. Okay, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you again in the next films.